Hey everybody, it is time to spin the wheel again and to find out which Steam game we're reviewing this time around. Let's see. Ooh, Flatout 2. Been looking forward to this one. Alright, let's get after it. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't it just fun when you make a new friend? Yeah, that's what this game is. Flatout 2, it's my new friend. Before this, I had never played any of the games in the Flatout series, and I know that there are strong opinions about which one is the best. This one, Flatout 2, tends to come near or at the top of a lot of people's lists. And yeah, this game, like, there's a lot of games on Steam that are from the PS3 era, and because I did not do any console gaming during that era, I was all PC all the time, I missed out on a lot of console games, and so I just assumed that this was a PS3 game. Nope. This game was available on the original Xbox, and it was available on the PS2. So yeah, this game goes way back, farther than I thought. It is from 2006, which is a lot farther back into gaming than I thought it was. But that just speaks to the quality of the game, because yeah, this game, first of all, let's just put this out here. What you are about to see and what you are seeing in terms of gameplay is missing a couple of things. First of all, it's missing that rockin' soundtrack that's got, like, you know, White Zombie and Audio Adrenaline and, like, or Audio Slave, you know, yeah. Anyway, regardless, it's got, like, bunch of, you know, heavy rockin' bands from 2006 in the soundtrack, just laying it down hard, which yeah, I didn't include any of that because obviously I don't want to get content matched. So that's number one. You're missing that. Number two, what you're missing is a qualified and competent driver, because I know this is going to sound like the worst cop-out ever, but I actually was better when the camera wasn't on. When I wasn't trying to capture footage, I was a little bit better at this and a little more competent. You're going to see some sloppy, sliding all over the road type of driving. You're just going to have to understand that your use case will vary. You're probably better at this than I am, and that means that you will have exactly as much fun as I'm having, because, like, it didn't matter to me that I was failing, and that there were times in these races where I would go from, you know, first or second place all the way back to 8th, like in the blink of an eye. Yeah, because you got to drive perfect. I'm reminded of a lot of the driving, the racing missions in Grand Theft Auto, like just in general. Like especially those San Andreas ones. You just, you know, you make one mistake and you might as well quit, like, because you are not going to catch back up. Except for, yeah, this game, you can catch up a little bit. There's a very unique thing going on here, and that is that all of the graphics and the controls are very simulation. And it looks kind of simulation-ish, and then you look at the madness going on the screen, and you're like, oh my god, this is arcade insanity. And the fact that, like, if the game can, it will drop you on your wheels after you hit something you shouldn't hit, after you take out a whole row of fence or whatever, or you go off a crazy jump. It will try to land you on your wheels more often than not. And that's more of an arcade type experience. But everything else about the game, it feels simulatory until you like really see the extent to which you can damage stuff. You can blow up gas stations. You can knock over all the signage and it will stay knocked down. It'll like whatever you hit is going to physics itself to wherever it goes, and then it's going to stay there until it gets hit again or until the end of the race or whatever. Like and the environments are way more destructible than I was prepared for. So that's just exciting and fun, is that like, you know, even if you're playing poorly, you get to see the extent to which you can damage your car and still keep driving, and you get to see the extent to which you can damage the environment around you and keep driving, and that's just amazing. So yeah, Flatout 2 is that perfect blend of like nice tight simulation style controls, you know, simulation style car physics and whatnot, but then you can do all of the arcadey nonsense. And the best arcadey nonsense in the game, that if you know about this game, because I've known about this game for a while, I just hadn't played it. I didn't own it on Steam. I do believe I own it on my PS2. I just haven't played it because I've got so many games in so little time. That's, you know, welcome to the life of a gamer. But yeah, it is so much fun when you play the little mini games, the stunt mode, because it's all of these games have a central core mechanic, and that is you are ejecting your driver through the windshield. So you're going to speed as fast as you can go, and then you are going to just slam on the brakes and send the driver ragdoll style through the windshield and knock over bowling pins and, you know, play a game of curling or try to hit a dartboard or shoot some hoops or like a million other things that you can do that are hilarious and awesome and fun. And a lot of them, I'm just not that great at it. Like, some of them I was slightly better before I was capturing game footage. And you can believe that or not. You could be like, oh, this guy is terrible. He can't even, you know, hit the board in darts. He can't even hit the slope in ski jump. He's sliding all over the place in curling. Yeah, I get it. I see what I'm doing as well. And I'm also not impressed. But yeah, I have done slightly better than this game footage would tell you. This is actually the third time that I'm capturing game footage for this game, because the other two were even worse, if you can imagine. And yeah, but the great thing about it is that it honestly did not matter. It honestly did not matter. This game is all about fun. It is just, you know, it's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, if you want to be playing the Forzas of the world and, you know, getting that heavy simulation to where it's really, really real, and some people, that's exactly what they want. Go for it. Get it. But I don't do a ton of racing games. And for the ones that I do, I want them to be fun. You know, like one of my all-time favorite racing games is Road Rash on the old Sega Genesis or Mega Drive if you live outside the United States. But yeah, that game was super fun. It was not about accuracy because you're like hitting each other with chains and stuff while you're riding on motorcycles. Like, it's not the most accurate racing simulator out there, but you know what is crazy fun? And that's what it was built around, is just being a whole lot of fun. And that's what Flatout 2 is built around, is they're like, okay, let's just make it fun. Like, let's just give people a whole bunch of fun game modes, because you have a ton of stunts that you can do. You know, you've got high jump, you've got basketball, baseball, darts, curling. You've got skipping like a stone, which I couldn't skip my dude once. Like, you got to hit it right on the right point, and I just could not get it to go for whatever reason. You know, it's one of those things, there is a learning curve on some of those, and you got to practice it up. But like, you know, there's a ring of fire, and you try and shoot your person through the ring of fire. I am not good at that. You can see me in the gameplay footage go like I'm gonna select it, and then I think the better of it, and I'm like, well, I'm already not putting out my best. I don't want to put out my even less best on a, you know, mini game that I'm not super great at. But yeah, and then there's, you know, multiplayer modes, which I haven't even messed around with. Like, there's so much game to this game for a you know, simple racing game. You know, there's a ton of car unlockables, and man, I learned the hard way that you had better choose the right car. You know, in one of my, I don't know if it's in this one, but I started a race where I accidentally chose a street car for a rally type race, because it was the same body style as a rally car, but it was built for the streets, and I was sliding all over the place. So, you know, those car physics are accurate. You do have to have the right rig for the right job. But there's a ton of car unlockables, and yeah, it's a whole lot of game that is, you know, really fun to play. And it did not matter to me at all. I wasn't sitting there thinking like, boy, well, for a game from 2006, you know, that did not cross my mind at all, because when a game is fun, the game is fun. I tell people this all the time. You know, the greatest party game ever is Warlords for the Atari 2600. That game is an incredible party game. And, you know, like, if you choose the right game modes, like where the dead people can still affect the motion of the ball, like, it gets super competitive, super fun. Like, I have never introduced a person to that game who did not love it. And the graphics are terrible. It's Atari 2600, and it's not even a graphically impressive Atari 2600 game, but the controls are tight. There are later versions of that same game that do not have controls that are nearly that tight, and it makes it for a worse game. I would rather play the Atari 2600 with some paddles and just, you know, play it up the way it was meant to be played. And that's what it is. Great gameplay is great gameplay. It doesn't matter what year it is. You know, if a game is great, if a game is really fun, then a game is really fun. And so, like, yeah, I know that there is the Flatout Ultimate Carnage, you know, which is like an enhanced version of this game that has like more mini games, slightly better graphics, etc. Yeah, I might look into getting that at some point, because if it's got more mini games, like graphics, like, okay, sure, I'll take slightly better graphics. I'm not gonna say no to slightly better graphics, but like, the graphics don't bother me at all. But more mini games, more fun packed in there. Yeah, you better believe that I'm going to be looking in, you know, the next Steam sale. I'm going to be looking for more Flatout content, because this game is super duper fun. Like I said at the beginning, it's like making a new friend, and you're like, oh, I got a new friend. It's fun. You know, like, that's what it feels like. It feels like I should have been playing this all along. So, yeah. I think I've sung the praises of Flatout 2 enough. I think I just need to plop a score on it and call it a day. Okay, so Flatout 2, how do we feel? Well, we feel pretty darn good about it. I'm giving it an 8 out of a possible 10 Ferraris from Outrun. Because when you talk good old-fashioned, super fun, arcadey driving, yeah, the only thing that Outrun needed was all the stunt modes, you know, sending that blonde girl into some bowling pins or onto a dartboard or something. Anyway, yeah, that's the only thing that Outrun really needed. But, you know, that is some old school, super fun. Like, I loved Outrun in the arcades. Even if I didn't have any quarters, I loved watching the demo mode. It just looked fun. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Flatout 2, it's all about the fun factor. You know, it's not gonna be the best racing game for someone who wants to get really serious and grit their teeth and, you know, have an actual steering wheel. I mean, you could play this with a steering wheel, but, like, you know, it's not for you to get super serious about it, because it doesn't take itself seriously. It's kind of goofy and silly. You've got, you know, all of the demolition derbies, the actual races, which feel like demolition derbies, the stunts, which are a different type of demolition derby. Like, you got all the things, but none of it is like, you know, furrow your brow and get serious about the thing. It's all fun, and that is great. That's why this is my new friend. Just like I said at the beginning, Flatout 2 is my new buddy. Anyway, people, that's going to do it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.